The applause was still ringing when my phone buzzed against my palm. I glanced down, expecting a congratulations text. Instead, the screen lit with a comment from Uncle Brent under the photo my university had posted. "She is not even a real doctor." I kept my smile steady for the crowd, but something inside me dipped like a floor giving way. I looked toward the row labeled "Reserved for Family." All 6 chairs sat in perfect, untouched alignment. Another buzz. A notification opened into a photo of Meredith, Richard, and Sienna standing in front of the Duomo in Florence, sunlight pouring over their matching sunglasses and gelato cups. "Family moments are everything," Meredith had captioned it. A laugh rippled through the auditorium. Someone else's name had just been called. My fingers tightened around the edge of my gown. I told myself to breathe, to just get through this ceremony, but each vibration from my phone felt like a small blow. Backstage, when we filed into position for the recessional, someone brushed my shoulder. "Your family must be so proud," a classmate whispered. I nodded, because nodding was easier than explaining anything. When we finally exited the hall, I stepped aside from the clusters of parents and siblings swarming their graduates. Everywhere I looked, people were hugging, crying, taking photos. I stood alone under a banner that said, "Congratulations, Doctors," and felt the words snag in my chest. Another buzz. "Sienna again. Hope it went well. We will celebrate when we get back. Love you." The message landed with a dull thud. Not anger, not even disappointment. Just recognition, a pattern repeating its shape. I slid my phone into my pocket. "If you are still with me, stay close. There is more to this story than an empty row and a careless comment. And if you want to hear how it all unfolds, how quiet truths become louder than applause, keep listening." I did not learn this version of myself at graduation. It started long before the gown, long before the stage. It began in the Clark kitchen, where Meredith liked to perform motherhood the way some people arranged flowers carefully, for the neighbors. I was 8 when I first heard her say it. Mrs. Daly from next door had stopped by to return a casserole dish. She smiled at Sienna twirling in a pink dress and then at me with my homework folder tucked under my arm. "Your girls are lovely, Meredith." Meredith's hands didn't pause over the sink. "Sienna is my beautiful one," she said, bright and effortless. "And Avery, well, she studies hard. It balances out." The words hung there, soft but sharp. Sienna giggled and spun again, soaking in the attention like light. I stood still, my fingers tightening around the folder. Richard wandered in and kissed the top of Sienna's head. "That is our star," he said. "Always has been." No one touched me. Years later, in high school, I opened my acceptance letter to a selective science program at the kitchen table. "I got in," I said, feeling warmth rise in my chest. Meredith skimmed the first line. "That is nice, sweetheart. Make sure you congratulate Sienna. Matt asked her to prom today." Sienna lifted her eyes just long enough to smirk. "Everyone knew he would," Richard added. "Keep working hard, Avery. It will pay off for all of us someday. For all of us." I folded the letter and slipped it back into the envelope. Across the table, Sienna posted a photo of her corsage. These moments shape a person quietly, not with slammed doors or shouting, but with the steady rearranging of where you stand in a room. And if you are still listening, stay with me. The past always leaves a trail, and mine was already leading somewhere I had not yet dared to look. Residency did not give me much thin sleep, long hallways, scrubs that never fully dried between shifts, but it gave my family more than they ever gave me. During my 2nd month on nights, Meredith called. She did not ask how I was holding up. She never did. "The heating is out again," she said. "The estimate is $740. I pressed my forehead to a supply cabinet door. "I can transfer it tonight." "You are a blessing," she replied, her voice warm only when money entered the conversation. 2 weeks later, Richard called from a parking lot. I could hear wind and impatience in his tone. The truck dealer needs a down payment. Just a few thousand. You know I would not ask if it were not urgent. I covered the phone and breathed. I will send $3,800. That should cover it. You always come through, he said. Good to have a doctor in the family. I was not a doctor yet, but correcting him felt pointless. Sienna preferred messages instead of calls. Emergency dental thing. Can you help a photo followed her hand holding a wine glass. White manicure flawless. I sent $1,200 that night. She replied with a single heart emoji and nothing else. Ellis, one of my co-residents, once caught me sending a transfer between shifts. Avery. You look exhausted, she said. Does your family ever slow down? They need help, I answered. Do they help you? She asked. I told her I did not have time for that conversation. When graduation neared, I wanted something simple one moment where we stood together, even if we had never truly been together. Meredith complained about airplane seats, Richard about airports, Sienna about the schedule. So I bought 3 premium economy tickets for $8,700 and printed each itinerary by hand. I fly you out on the 4th. I told them, please do not be late. Meredith smiled politely. Richard nodded. Sienna barely looked up from her phone. I held the envelopes a moment longer than I should have, feeling the weight of hope I kept trying to give people who had never carried any for me. The morning after my graduation, the apartment felt too quiet. My gown hung over the back of a chair, the hood slipping off as if even it had given up holding its shape. I sat with my coffee, opened my laptop, and pulled up the university's photo gallery. In every frame, someone was being held, mothers squeezing shoulders, fathers wiping their eyes, siblings pulling graduates into messy, laughing piles. Then the cursor landed on me standing alone near the edge of the frame, smile steady, gaze angled toward an empty row of chairs behind me. My phone buzzed. A message from Sienna, sent 3 hours before their flight. Something came up. We will not make it. Love you. I stared at it until another notification slid over the screen, a tag from Meredith's social account. I tapped it open. They were in Florence, posing in front of a cathedral, sunlight gleaming off their sunglasses. Meredith held a cup of gelato. Sienna lifted a sparkling drink. Richard rested one hand proudly on Sienna's shoulder. The caption read, "Family moments are everything." Below it, rows of comments flooded in. A dream trip. You all look amazing, Uncle Brent. She is not even a real doctor. 64 likes beneath his comment. Names I recognized. Names of people who once mailed me birthday cards and folded me into holiday photos. My phone buzzed again, a direct message from Meredith. We will celebrate when we return. Do not be dramatic. I placed the phone face down on the table. During residency, I had learned how to read subtle shifts in a patient's breathing, the tiny clues that told me when something deeper was wrong. Looking at that Florence photo, I felt the same awareness and old ache rearranging itself into something sharper. Their smiles were wide, almost rehearsed, not a shadow of disappointment, not a trace of hesitation, not a single sign they had ever intended to sit in those reserved chairs. The messages, the comments, the timing, it all aligned with a clarity I had avoided for years. I closed the laptop and whispered, "Show me everything." I opened the folder on my laptop labeled Household Support, Tax Records. I had created it during residency, not out of suspicion, but to keep myself organized for the yearly filings. Now, the neatly named files felt like a row of small truths waiting to be read aloud. The first document was the heating repair. $740. The date glowed at me, and I remembered Sienna posting a photo 2 hours later, her legs draped over a lounge chair, captioned, "Spa Saturday." She had written emergency in her text to me. She always wrote emergency. Next was the dental invoice for $1,200. I enlarged the timestamp. 2 days after, she posted from a winery with a dozen laughing friends behind her. The comment thread was full of people admiring her perfect white smile. I scrolled to the truck down payment $3,800. That same afternoon, Richard had checked in at a luxury watch boutique. Meredith commented a row of heart emojis under his photo. I whispered, "Of course you did." As I opened file after file, patterns tightened into place. Dates matched trips. Charges matched indulgences. Every so-called urgent need was a doorway to something else entirely. I felt no shock, only a slow alignment of pieces that had been scattered for years. My phone vibrated with a voicemail notification. Then another. I pressed them away without listening. A soft knock came from the hallway. It was Ellis, my co-resident, stopping by to drop off a charger she had borrowed. She glanced at my screen. "You are sorting receipts," she asked gently. "I am seeing things clearly," I said. She studied me for a moment. "When you finish, whatever this is, you should rest." "I will," I said, though rest felt foreign in my mouth. After she left, I returned to the final file, an audio recording labeled Clark Flights Confirmation. I had made it to keep track of the booking details for insurance purposes. I hovered over the play button. If the receipts told me how they used me, this recording would tell me what they truly thought. I pressed play. My own voice opened the recording thin, tired, trying to sound cheerful. "Your confirmations should be in your email." The premium economy seats were the only ones left for that date. I remembered that night clearly. I had been standing outside the hospital, leaning against a brick wall, stethoscope still around my neck. I had pressed the record button only because the insurance agent told me to keep track of booking details. On the audio, Meredith answered first. "Avery, that is an awful lot of money. Are you sure you want to spend that much?" Her tone was syrupy, the kind she used when she wanted to be praised for pretending to worry. Richard laughed in the background, loud enough to distort the microphone. "Let her do it. She is a doctor now. Finally useful." There was a rustle. Then Sienna's voice chimed in, smooth and amused. "If she is even a real doctor." "Kidding. Kind of." More laughter, unhurried, unembarrassed. Then Richard spoke again, his voice dropping into something almost tender. "She really thinks we are flying to Boston. Poor kid." A short pause. "She has no idea she is basically our retirement plan." The laughter that followed was sharper this time, like the scrape of a blade across stone. I stopped the recording. The silence in my apartment felt different now, no longer empty, but crowded with every truth I had tried not to see. My phone buzzed, a voicemail notification, then another, and another. I put the phone on speaker and listened. Meredith, first. Her voice trembled dramatically. "Honey, we did not think you would mind. Florence was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You are strong. We assumed you would understand. I deleted it. The next one was Richard. You need to calm down. You are overreacting, as usual. And you should be grateful. We raised you. That counts for something. Delete." The third was Sienna. "Can you stop making everything difficult? This is not a big deal. You embarrassed Mom. Fix it." I let the message end without touching the delete button. Hearing her say fix it made something settle inside me, not anger, but precision. I opened a blank document on my laptop. My fingers moved before my mind caught up. What I actually owe you. I listed the heating bill, the truck payment, the dental transfer, the condo I had co-signed for in Denver, the utilities under my name, the credit line I had opened for emergencies that were never emergencies. Line after line, number after number. A quiet reckoning. When I finished, I leaned back and whispered the only truth that felt solid. I am done being your plan. The words did not tremble. They landed exactly where they needed to. The next morning, I called Ellis from the table where the receipts still lay in a neat, merciless row. She answered on the first ring. "You sound awake," she said, "which worries me. I need to remove my name from everything." I replied. All of it. There was no hesitation. Tell me where to start. I opened the document I had typed the night before. The condo in Denver. I co-signed the lease so Sienna could get approved. Every utility bill, electricity, heating, water, internet, parking runs through accounts in my name. And there is a family credit line I opened during residency. Ellis exhaled slowly. Do you want full termination? Yes. That means giving notice. Legally. Sienna will have 45 days before she has to vacate or assume the lease on her own. She can handle it, I said. She has handled everything else I paid for. Ellis paused long enough that I heard the shift in her voice when she spoke again. I will draft the documents today. What about communication with them? I want it in writing only. She understood exactly what that meant. I will prepare the formal notices. When we hung up, I turned to my laptop. I opened a new slide deck and typed the title, This is what family looks like when you are the paycheck. The first slide held the heating bill beside Sienna's spa photo. The next, her winery selfie beside the dental invoice. Richard's luxury watch purchase beside the truck down payment. Florence over Boston. The empty graduation seats. Then I dragged in the waveform of the audio recording. Just the image of it felt louder than anything they had ever said to my face. A knock sounded behind me. Ellis, the co-resident, stepped in, a container of soup in her hands. I made extra, she said quietly. Thought you might forget to eat. You do not have to take care of me. I told her. Someone should, she replied, then placed the container on the counter without pushing further. When she left, I stared at the screen one last time. Each slide was a mirror held up to something I had been taught to ignore. That night, I booked a private dining room at a small restaurant in Beacon Hill. 4 seats for them. 1 seat for Dr. Adrian Mitchell, who had spent the last 2 years telling me I was worth more than the exhaustion I carried. As I confirmed the reservation, a calmness settled in my body. Not relief clarity. They always told me I overreacted. Tomorrow, I would not react at all. I would simply show them the truth they built. The private dining room felt smaller once the 4 of us sat down. Meredith entered first, arms spread as if nothing had fractured. Avery, sweetheart, you look tired. Are you eating? She kissed the air near my cheek, but did not touch me. Richard pulled out his chair with a grunt. Let us order quickly. I have a long day tomorrow. Sienna slid into her seat, last phone already angled for a flattering photo. The lighting here is awful, she muttered. I didn't answer. I picked up the small remote from beside my plate and pressed the button. The lights dimmed. A projector hummed. Slide 1 glowed across the wall. This is what family looks like when you are the paycheck. Sienna froze mid-pose. Meredith's smile faltered. Richard frowned, annoyed more than confused. Is this necessary? He asked. It is accurate, I said. I clicked forward. Heating repair beside a spa selfie. Truck down payment beside a luxury watch. Dental invoice beside a winery trip. Florence beside the empty row at my graduation. Meredith pressed a hand to her chest. Avery, you went through our finances? No, I replied. I went through mine. Richard leaned forward. You are twisting things. These were family needs. I clicked again. The slide shifted to Uncle Brent's comment. She is not even a real doctor. Sienna swallowed hard. He was joking. 64 people agreed, I said. Meredith whispered. Turn this off before someone hears. This room is private. I answered. And there is one more thing. I moved the cursor over the audio file. The icon pulsed like a heartbeat. I did not look at them when I said, You will listen to everything you said when you thought I was not recording. I pressed play. My voice came first, worn from a night shift. Then Meredith's, sweetened with false concern. That is an awful lot of money. Avery, are you sure Richard followed? Laughing. Let her pay. She is finally useful. And then Sienna. soft and cruel in the same breath. If she is even a real doctor. Kidding. Kind of. The recording ended with Richard's final line. She really thinks we are flying to Boston. Poor kid. She has no idea she is our retirement plan. When the audio fell silent, no one moved. Meredith's napkin slipped from her hand. Avery, you misunderstand. People say things carelessly. Her voice scrambled for softness, but nothing gentle remained. Richard slammed his palm lightly on the table. You recorded us, that is manipulative. He said it like the word belonged to me. Sienna's eyes darted between our faces. Can you just delete it? This is humiliating. It is honest, I said. I slid a folder across the table. These are the documents ending every account tied to my name. The utilities, the credit line, the Denver lease. You have 45 days. Sienna grabbed the papers. You cannot do this. I already have. Before Richard could speak again, the door opened. Dr. Adrian Mitchell stepped inside, coat still over his arm. He nodded at me, then at my parents. I came to deliver Avery's fellowship acceptance in person, he said. His voice filled the room in a way theirs never had. She earned every step of it through work you never saw. Meredith blinked. We supported her. No. Doctor, Mitchell replied, calm but unwavering. She became a doctor in spite of you, not because of you. Sienna looked down. Richard's jaw tightened. Meredith's eyes glistened with something between shock and anger. I stood. The dinner is paid for. It is the last bill you will ever see with my name on it. I walked out before they could form their next excuse. Later, in my new townhouse near the water, the quiet felt like a room finally opening instead of closing. I set my fellowship letter on the table, breathed in the stillness, and let it stay. If you want more stories where truth finally speaks louder than the people who tried to silence it, stay close. There are more chapters ahead, and I would like you to hear every one of them.